good morning, Abundant Life Creators. How are you all doing? Thank you so much for tuning in today's video. My name is Emanuela Lumene. For all those that are new to this channel, I'd love to welcome you to Abundant Life Creation. So if you're meeting me or seeing me for the first time, I would love to introduce myself so that you get to know me a little bit. My name is Emanuela Lumene. I'm a child of God, a lover of His presence. I'm a radiographer by profession. I am also a certified mindset and personal development life coach. I am also a baker as well. So on this platform, Abundant Life Creation, I take time to share knowledge that is going to help you discover yourself, discover your purpose, discover your hidden abilities and potentials by looking within yourself to be able to discover the gifts, the talents that God has placed within you. I also take time to share principles that are going to help you refine and develop yourself to become the best version of yourself. So I'm a firm believer that it is God's desire for each and every one of us to live a life of abundance. However, He's given us all the responsibility to become creators of that life of abundance. Of course, it's supposed to be in alignment with God's purpose for our lives. So most of the times when many of us are on this journey of personal growth and development, we tend to focus on one area of our lives, be it our academics, be it our relationships, be it our finances, and then every other area of our lives tends to suffer because we are mostly focusing on succeeding in one area. However, God desires that we prosper in all things. He desires that we prosper in our mindset, in our emotions, in our health, in our relationships, in our associations or partnerships, in our businesses, in our spiritual lives, in our career, in everything. So we have to be intentional. It's not all up to God for you to be all that He has proposed you to be. God has a role to play, quite alright, but you also have a role to play in order for you to become who you're supposed to be. And as youths, there are a lot of things that we are all struggling with. So this is also a platform that we tend to look at how mindset are developed, how why we feel and think the way that we think, how we deal with mental health and different other topics. So if you're just here for the first time, I would encourage you to take time to listen to the previous videos that I posted on this platform. You will learn more about self-discovery, the different phases that you need to go through to help you discover yourself. And currently we are talking about mental health. So in our previous video, I took time to share my story, okay, at least the beginning part of my story on how I struggled with my mental health. So today I want to go a step further to actually explain some of the challenges that I faced when I tried to deal with my mental health, or some of the wrong ways I went about it when I was trying to deal with my mental health. So to start with, I was one person who was very closed up. When I mean closed up, I mean like I could hardly open up to share anything that I was going through with anyone. Be it my parents, be it my friends, the few friends that I had around me. I was completely closed up. I was a kind of person where if I'm going through a challenge, I would rather keep it to myself and not tell anybody about what I'm going through. And the issue about that was that it used to hurt and break me because each time that you try and hold something inside you for a long time, you don't really have a solution within yourself. So the fact that I was a closed up person, and sometimes I would find myself in situations where people would come to me and open up and share some of the challenges that they were going through, and I would gladly encourage them and advise them in the best way that I knew how to at that point. But then sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, is it that these people don't know that also me, I'm breaking inside, I'm hurting. Nobody seems to be knowing what I'm going through. Nobody is even concerned to ask how you're doing. Like, just that concern to know that there are actually people out there that know that something is wrong with you. Well, the truth is that people will never know that you're going through something if you don't open up and talk about it. Nobody is a mind reader. People can't just look at you and read your mind to say this person is actually struggling with it. And the issue about me was that at that point, I always be used to just give this impression that everything is perfect, everything is okay, even when I'm breaking inside. Though sometimes my facial expression would betray me, but well, basically that was that. So now, after I started asking those questions, why do I think the way that I think? Why do I act the way that I act? Why am I constantly battling with all these emotions, with all these thoughts? And why am I always at a place where I feel like giving up? Like, what is the problem with me? Because it seemed like I was the only one who was going through all that, and nobody else was literally going through what I was going through. So I took time to start reading different books to be able to understand how mindsets come about, and how certain beliefs or what triggers certain emotions. So I took time to actually read. Now, after reading after reading and researching on different kind of things, I decided to take matters in my own hands, because I actually thought, oh, now that I have the knowledge, the only thing that I have to do is actually work on it. So my first mistake was to deal with my challenges, or deal with my healing, or yeah, I okay one of the challenges, or one of the problems, or one of the things that I did which wasn't right, now that I look at it, is the fact that I took the healing in my own hands. Like, I thought I had everything it took to actually heal myself. You get the point? Where instead of coming out and talking about it, or finding people that I could open up to and share my experience or what I was struggling with, I actually thought I had it all under control. I didn't have to go out there and seek help from anybody else. Instead, I took matters in my own hands. So what I started to do is that I thought I could actually heal myself by myself. And what I also mean by this is that it's not just people that I excluded out of my healing process. I also excluded God, because I thought I had read, and now that I had known, I could actually implement and act on what I read by my own, and then I would heal. So what I started to do then was that I started applying the knowledge that I had acquired. So I remember there was a time I read about evaluation, which I also take time to explain. Evaluation, self-evaluation. I also learned about reflecting. I also learned about affirmations. So now these are things that I started practicing. Like, I started evaluating myself. I started affirming myself. I actually started doing or acting on the things that I learned. Now, as I was doing that, there were some changes that I was noticing here and there, where, when you say positive things, you feel hyper, you feel zealous and all that. But then one thing I started noticing was that no matter how many times I would actually affirm certain things or evaluate myself, I would constantly find myself in a phase where I'm still broken and hurt, and those negative thoughts would literally keep running back. I would constantly find myself reliving the past again. So I was like, Nishi, what am I doing wrong? Because I think I'm doing what I read I was supposed to do, but then why is it that I'm not making any progress? I kind of felt like I was still going in circles. I wasn't seeing myself growing. I wasn't seeing myself transforming or evolving or anything like that. So it kind of became a problem to me, because I felt, what am I doing? So, in the aspect of evaluation, I learned that, okay, you're supposed to evaluate yourself and see where it is you went wrong, and try and gain the lessons and things like that. Now, my problem was that each time I sat down to evaluate, I actually have a book. Even up to now, I still have a book, which though is personal for me. But if somebody would actually take time to read that book, they'll realize to say, I was literally beating myself up about everything each time I was evaluating. So whenever I would sit down to actually write and try to discover why I thought the way that I thought, all my evaluations were on all the bad things that I did. And it was that thing where whenever I sit down to actually evaluate myself, I'm like, I did this wrong, I did this, I thought the reason why I thought this was because of this, the reason why I did this was because of this. And at the end of it all, when I sat down and looked at the book, I looked at myself and I'm just like, am I such a bad person that I would actually have to put myself through all this? So the purpose of evaluation is to actually help you discover some of the things that you did wrong, as well as gain some wisdom from the whole experience, in order for you to know what to do and what not to do the next time, to prevent what you actually did the last time from actually happening. But that wasn't what I was doing. For me, I was just evaluating myself and trying to pinpoint what is it that I did wrong, what was the cause of what I did wrong. And instead of learning from the whole thing, I went back, sat down, and now started thinking and brooding about those words, and I now started feeling bad about myself. And it's like it started making situations worse. Okay, in that moment, I didn't know that when you're evaluating yourself, you're not supposed to focus more on the negativity. Of course, it's okay to look at some of the negative things or the bad things that you did and what caused you to do it or what triggered it, and learn some of the triggers or situations that caused you to think that way, but also step out of it and actually find action points to actually more like shield yourself from those things, so that what happened will not happen again. But then I just thought it was just that thing where you said, what did I do wrong, what is it that I did do right, and things like that. Okay, how can I do it better? Even though I wrote those things on how I can do things better, I actually was not able to do it, because I constantly sat down and kept thinking through everything that I wrote down, and I was just like, but why is it that I did this? Why is it? And instead of learning from my experiences, I now started to beat myself about it. I started thinking bad about myself. So it's like it now started to demoralize me instead of actually helping me grow out of the whole thing. And that was a really devastating time for me, to a point where at some point I even stopped evaluating myself, because I felt like each time I would evaluate myself, I would only see the bad about myself. And you see, that's what the problem is. At that point where I was evaluating myself, my mindset was still negative. So even when I was evaluating, I was just looking out for the negativity or the problems in every situation that I found myself in. It was okay, if I can remember right, I hardly had times when I would actually sit down and try and write good things about myself or see the positive things that I would do, of which after some time I started doing that. But at the beginning, I would constantly just try and see the problems in everything that was going on in my life or that went on in my life. Okay, but after some time, oh, this part of after some time, it will come in the next video. Another thing that I did which was not right. So when I evaluated myself and I discovered to say, oh, the problem is this, the problem is that, the problem is that, aside beating myself, instead of me now sitting down and actually working on dealing with my inside, you know what I did? I started setting goals to actually deal with my outside environment. Like, I set certain goals that I wanted to achieve, because I thought, okay, if I keep my mind away from the emotions and thoughts that I was struggling with on the inside, by doing activities, trying businesses, trying to do just certain things on the outside that would actually help me, then I would be okay. I actually thought it's better I do certain things instead of working on my insides to be calm. Okay, so I set certain business goals. I set certain goals for my academics. I just set different goals around me, because I thought, okay, if I keep myself engaged and working on my outside, everything else is going to be perfect. Oh my God, I was wrong. I was wrong, because the fact that my mindset had not changed, the fact that my thought process, the kind of words that I kept telling myself had not changed, everything else around me was just being sabotaged. It's that thing where I may start up a certain goal with so much zeal, so much passion, and then because I set certain goals on the outside, and then I wanted to just try to do it, it was just a sabotage, because you'd find that I would start doing something, I would be so zealous at the beginning, but then within like a week or two or after, I just lose it. Like, I just lose it. My mindset could not actually grow or help, because I had a negative mindset or negative belief system about myself and about situations and everything else around me. It's like I found it hard to actually grow beyond the level I was at. So I would start a business, but I would always reach a certain point and I would just fail. I would start something, but I would never finish it till the end. I was just this person who would reach someone, then all of a sudden I would start speaking ill about myself and thinking I don't have what it takes, and I'll just stop. And this continued until I got to a point where I realized to say, okay, I think there's something I'm actually doing wrong. Because in as much as I was trying to dream big, aim high, and do certain things, the fact that my mindset, my emotions, and everything that was happening on my inside was not yet dealt with. Like, I didn't experience that healing, and I was still battling with them on the inside, despite all the things that I was trying to do to keep me busy and run away from my internal struggles. So it actually did not help me at all, because I found myself going through circles. I found myself going through situations where I felt like today I'm up, today I'm active, then I'm broken, I'm hurt, and I keep asking God, what's the problem with me? Why am I always going through what I'm going through? God, what is wrong? Like to a point where I now started trying to look for somebody else to blame. I couldn't blaming God at all. God, what's wrong with me? Like, why are you allowing this to happen to me? Until God came through for me and helped me realize to say, I am doing it all wrong. But then that will be the next video where we'll get to talk about more on how I scaled my way through all this. So thank you so much for tuning in today's video. I would encourage each and every one of you to like, subscribe, invite your family and friends to also subscribe to this channel. Till next time, it's your lady and life coach, Emanuela Lumene. Bye bye.